If you need a refuge, I will be right here until the end. Oh, it's time to burn the ships, cut the ties, send a flare into the night. Say a prayer, turn the tide, dry your tears and wave goodbye.
The new project, Burn the Ships. What does that mean?
My wife and I have got 3 kids, and when she was pregnant with our middle son, Phoenix, she was having a bunch of morning sickness, a bunch of nausea, and so she went to the doctor and they said, hey, we can help you with that. Here's some medicine to eliminate the nausea. And for about 6 weeks it worked, and then she went back and said, hey, it's not working anymore, and they gave her more medicine and upped the dosage. And I was in Austin, Texas with a show that night, and she calls me and she says, hey, I need you to come home. And she says, I've been taking this medicine and I just can't stop. And so they prescribed her outpatient therapy for about 2 weeks, and so I'd drop her off at 9 a.m. in the morning, pick her up at 2, and she'd shown so much improvement in 2 weeks. They said, hey, you're free to go, and you've done tremendously well. And soon after that, she had that bottle of pills at home. And she said, Luke, I need to go and take these pills. I need to go and just flush them, because these pills represent so much guilt and so much shame in my life. And I remembered a story many years ago about an explorer who was going to a new land, and when he arrived to explore this land, to explore the horizon in all of these ships, he realized that the men didn't want to follow him because they wanted to stay even in the dirty confines of these boats just because it was comfortable, not because it was good. And easy, right? And so soon after that, he calls them back onto the shoreline again. He said, I want every soldier on the shoreline. And once he got all of his soldiers on the shoreline, he gave the command, hey, burn the ships, because we're not retreating. We're moving into a new day. We're gonna go explore a new world. And I think when my wife flushed those pills, that was her, burning the ships.
I love that.
Yeah.
Move forward, push past the past.
Exactly.
That song wasn't even written in theory for this project. It was written 2.5 years ago. And our wives have really been, both Courtney and my wife Mariah, have really been laced into this project. On the creative side, the last song on the record, we sing with them, even down to the fact that, Courtney really came to Luke and said, hey, I want you to share this story. Like, this is, if God can kind of take me from this place of addiction and so radically shift my story, I want you to share that with people.
I love pretty much every single song on the album, but one that stands out for me is when you're singing God Only Knows.
We were always taken with that phrase, God only knows, because it's such a flippant, at face value, people say, oh, God only knows.
Yeah, it's a throwaway.
It's a throwaway. And yet, if this is all true, that there is this creator and this designer, and he intervened into humanity 2,000 years ago, and that there is redemption, and he knows the hairs on our head, and yet he still has this superhero kind of love for us. That's radical. When we're coming up with the music video concept, it was the same week that Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade had passed away. And it kind of rocked us all, as I know it did America. So we kind of built the concept of the music video around suicide prevention. And man, I got to tell you, Efron, as we've dug into this, it's an epidemic. I mean, it's the second biggest killer of those our age. We were at college a couple of weeks ago, and I just kind of, I'd not done it before, but I asked the audience, hey, how many of you directly or indirectly been impacted by suicide? And probably 80% of the kids. You're starting to see it all over the place. It's starting to become common. And I think there's a real conversation to be had about, statistically in the 80s, 20% of Americans said they were lonely. Now in 2018, almost 50%. And yet in that 38-year span, through smart devices and technology and the internet, we've become more connected than we ever have in history. But it seems like we're doing so much of it here, and it needs to be done here, and it needs to be done here. And so that's part of the song and the record's theme, is to sort of provoke some of those questions in ourselves first and foremost, and in others.
Great job. Thank you guys both so much. Pleasure. Thank you for the new project. I look forward to what's next.
As do we.
Thank you, Efron.